Hello and welcome to Oink Time Pod. I'm Jen Carnivale.
I'm Ben Elwood.
And this week we chatted with Sydney comedian Dan Rath.
The great Dan Rath.
About fate.
Guys, if you like Oink Time, please take 30 seconds out of your day to give us 5 stars and write a review on iTunes. It helps us out heaps and it gets the pod out to new listeners. I am doing a Sydney Fringe Festival show called The Unexpected Benefits of a Colorectal Prolapse. It is on at the Factory Theatre at 8:15 on September 18, 20 and 22. I have a 70-seat theatre. Please fucking come.
Ben and I are also doing a show together. There will be stand-up, there will be Oink Timing at Sydney Fringe Comedy on Tuesday 4th, Thursday 6th, Saturday 8th and Sunday 9th. What's that? 4 shows. Holy shit. Yes, it is. At the Sydney Fringe Festival for September. Come and see all of those. They're going to all be different. Yep. Oh, very good. Also, if you would like to oink at us, you can on Twitter at OinkTimePod. Please let us know any words you'd like to throw in the hat. We, of course, have to thank our wonderful producer, Sean Allen. He does all the songs. He makes this happen and puts it all together. So thank you, Sean. Check out his podcast, In Brackets, with Sean Allen. And now it's time for some Rath hair.
Fate. It's that stupid thing. It's like the fear of conflict or the fear of having the conversation that might be difficult, but then you just like putting like all your resentment and all your hatred in like a bank.
Rejection.
It's just getting more and more
compound
fucking
interest.
Yeah. And then it's like it doesn't even take much.
It's a nest egg of hate.
And then it doesn't take much to set it off. Like it's just the slightest little tap and like, yeah, fuck you, I fucking hate you.
Is it the rejection? Yeah. I was talking to a friend of ours, Kate, about this the other day, and how like people who come from like bad, like abusive or just like not necessarily healthy backgrounds, when they have anger with a person, rather than going direct, they sort of go like, boop, like out the sides. So like if we were having an argument, Ben, I would be way more comfortable going, Rath, I'm really sorry, Ben's.
Then going, of course.
Than addressing me.
And we were talking about like, why is that the case? Yeah, because you were saying you didn't want to address with me. A little bit fun, but also the fear of rejection, because often people who come from like fucked backgrounds are like constantly scared of rejection. So it's that whole thing of like, if I tell them the truth, they'll leave like dad. Like it's that type of
there could be that.
So it's easier just to tell somebody else.
I think when I was growing up,
theorem.
When I was growing up, me and my mum would have the types of arguments where, you know, we would fight and then give each other the silent treatment for a week. And I think whenever I'm at my most kind of like whatever, immature or fragile or whatever, petulant, I kind of default back into that, where I just don't want to address it. But then not addressing it makes it so much fucking worse.
Oh, yeah, just festers for months.
Yeah. And this is becoming a big thing. This has been a big theme the last couple of years, is like how to address things when they arise rather than letting it go. And it's so funny. I think people think that I love conflict, and I do if I'm obviously the righteous one.
Right.
You know, whatever. If someone's on a bus giving shit to an old lady, yeah, that's fucking great conflict. But if it's interpersonal, I don't know, it freaks me the fuck out. I don't like it.
How to avoid the festering.
Yeah, and then I ended up, my brain, like last night I did a gig and my spot got switched from a 10-minute to a 5-minute, and it was a paid gig. And so in my mind, it was like, well, have I just been canned from the paid spot?
Right, yeah.
And it took like 20 minutes of psyching myself up to go up to the guy who runs the room going, hey, man, am I still getting paid? And of course, I didn't even finish the sentence before he was like, oh, yeah, of course you're still getting paid. It was never a big deal. But, you know.
Builds up in your head.
Yeah, what is that?
You've got to address it.
Fear. Isn't it just fear?
Fear of rejection?
Fear of being yelled at, of being in trouble, of being wrong, of losing something. Could be anything.
When does this shit fucking go away? I'm 37 in a couple of months.
I think it does go away.
And I still default into this Pavlovian, you know, like when I was in high school, I was a terrible student. Like just awful, and mum was always getting calls at work. You know,
but you have a great vocabulary.
Well read.
But is that like were you a pothead thing?
And in high school?
Yeah.
Not at all. I was totally 100% straight edge till I was 21.
A straight edge bad student.
Bad.
Yeah, weird combo.
No excuse.
No, I was just bored at school, and none of it seemed relevant.
Yeah.
It all just seemed empty. And I think our generation was that last gasp of kind of an more old school type of education where it was just like, oh, we're in science class. Copy these 4 blackboards worth of information without knowing what the context is.
There was a lot of copying stuff.
Yeah, which is a terrible, like they've proved is like rote learning is like the worst way you can learn.
Yeah.
And if you can't apply
It's completely redundant now.
Yeah.
Because of robots and shit.
Well, now I love
And
science.
printing, yeah.
Now I love science so much, and it's like you wonder how they could possibly have made all that stuff so boring. But anyway, I was a terrible student, and so I knew when I got home every afternoon there would be a fight with me and Mum because she would get a call, Ben did something dumb again or Ben wagged or blah, blah, blah. So the fear of hearing her car rolling into the driveway would, it would just like Pavlovian. I'd freak out. And I still have that with certain sounds. Jangling keys still put me on edge.
Because it's
Really?
the keys to a door.
I'm about to get yelled at.
I have the same thing.
You got
With
that?
keys?
Yeah, well, I don't know if I told you where I had a landlord where I'd stopped paying rent. So he started coming over to the house and checking the rooms. So I'd hear the keys jangle and I'd be eating nachos and then I'd run into my room. I'd run into my room and hide under my bed and stuff. Because he would come into the room.
That's so creepy.
The keys were so scary. So I'd always have I had this trigger. Like my trigger warning was a jingle jangle. Like a loose change kind of. And I'd start imagining it. And I'd be walking around in a state of hypervigilance
Yeah, no, totally.
in my own house that I wasn't paying rent to be.
Wait, how did this pan out?
Basically, yeah, he just had the right to come in at any time. Because I wasn't, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Once you stop paying rent, they can come into the house.
Did he ever catch you hiding under the bed?
No. But thank God, because I'm 30 or whatever. That's just really immature. It's not what an adult would do.
When did this happen?
This was in the last year.
Oh, shit. I thought this was like a while ago.
No, I was 28. It sounds like a kid thing, eh?
I thought you're fresh out of school with my nachos, don't give a shit.
You're just off the edge of playing hide and seek as a kid, so it's still fresh like that.
There's still a huge fun element to it.
Absolutely. The jingle I know what you mean. That's why with the keys.
Yeah, and it can be in any context. You can be on a bus and you hear that noise. It's like, oh, here we go.
Keys don't freak me out. Ben and I have had arguments because pacing makes me anxious. And
I like to pace.
An old friend of Eric, who's a comic in Sydney who we've hung out with, he likes to pace. Yeah. And when he and I would hang out, I would be like, can you stop pacing? I would freak out. And he'd be like, I'm thinking. And I was like, I can't handle it. It just stressed me out so much. Because it's just being younger and stuff, it was always some shit is going to hit the fan. Someone is pacing. Their
is that
brain.
what pacing meant?
Totally. My dad would just silently, he was about to explode. Shit would be bad.
Oh my God.
And so if people are pacing, I was like, and I've told Ben enough now, but I mean, any partner, Chris is my partner now is a bit better with it. He'll be like, you're pacing. And he'll be like, oh shit, sorry. Because now it's flipped where to him it means that I'm going to spaz out. So it's become this weird thing now where I can't handle pacing. Makes me so anxious. I hate it.
It's so fucking weird, right? All that fucking shit, all that programming put in. You think that you've transcended it or you think that you've assimilated it, but when you kind of default back into your kind of most vulnerable state, a set of keys is going to make me fucking freak out.
Yeah.
You know what? It's fucking crazy.
It's actually good to know.
Well, I think it's the same for everyone, right?
Yeah, I'm sure everybody has stuff.
See, that's your trigger warning is keys.
Yeah. Yeah, so keys
someone,
need to be banned.
Yeah, if someone shakes keys in a gig.
We all, you can have the most idiosyncratic trigger warning.
Well, that's what we were talking about this earlier before we even
Yeah.
started recording. I mean, that's kind of, to me, why trigger warnings are so ridiculous, because it is so idiosyncratic.
I just
If
think
I
it needs
was-
to be extended, the definition of trigger warning to everything.
To just eventually not letting anyone move or shake
Yeah,
anything.
yeah, we all sit in a grey room.
If I was at a gig and a dude was just pacing around, I would be very aware of it. Put
Yeah,
it
but
that
you
way.
wouldn't. I can't imagine that you would just march up to them and go, "Excuse me, I'm really
not.
triggered by your pacing. You need to stop pacing." That's your shit.
No,
to
I'm not a
deal
fucking
with.
idiot, but
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
saying that I would be aware of why I felt that way, but I also have the ability to say that person is not, the reality of whatever I'm thinking of.
Or that they're maliciously out to get you.
No, they're just a
living their
dude
life.
walking.
Yeah. But
Probably a comedian who's nervous about going on stage.
Yeah. But that ends up becoming the whole thing of why the fucking trigger warning thing. It's so absurd.
Because pacing is your safe space.
Yeah.
And it's your trigger.
Yeah.
So your trigger warning is your safe space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we hang out a lot.
Yeah.
It gets rough.
I wonder why we're always arguing.
It gets rough. Yeah, I think that
Yeah.
stuff is absurd. You can't fit everybody's trigger warning word, action, sound. I mean, for God's sake. You can never do anything.
Well, we're talking
Never do
before.
anything.
It's like if you start kind of taking it to its logical conclusion, it literally results in the dismantling of all things. You know, I didn't know my dad, so Father's Day triggers me. I feel really sad, or my friend's mum died, and we went to the movies week before last Mother's Day, and there's all these fucking Mother's Day ads. It's like, well, that's just his shit to fucking deal with.
Yeah.
You can't. Reality's coming at you. You can't fucking avoid it.
I told you, I miss like the old attitude. We talked about this before, but I miss the old attitude where it's like, my mum used to say it when I was growing up, if I was upset about something, she'd be like, oh, why do you care what they think?
Mm-hmm.
And like, I totally still believe that now. Like, I'm like, yeah, why would I care about what that person thinks about? If I cared about what everybody thought about my life choices, I'm a comedian who does stand-up. I've had family members tell me I'm disgusting. I don't fucking care.
Is that before or after they saw you?
When I was 12, but it's not the point.
You're disgusting.
I've like offended family members in the States so much that they called me repeatedly, like in the middle of the night on Facebook, and left 60-second voice recordings because
Oh my God, that's harrowing.
they didn't realize that it cut out. Did I tell you about this? There is no way she's listening. I shared something on Facebook that was like funny to do with comedy, and it was like, hey Jennifer, it's me. I just want you to know that I think what you were saying was really inappropriate. And then it would be like, hey, so it cut out. I don't know why, but what I was going to say. And then it would be like, okay, so it's cut out again. And I have like 12 messages just like fucking about
Jesus.
why I'm so offensive. I was like, I don't fucking care. Like,
It's so fucking crazy.
you can't
right?
care.
Yeah.
If you do, like, I mean, God, you're a shell of a human.
But what do you think that is? Do you think it's like, like the root cause of that is like, the need for control?
As in controlling other people around you.
Well, yeah, like whatever, that thing upsets me, and, whatever, I've been led to believe that I'm entitled to 70 to 90 years of completely, undisturbing, wonderful life,
I can't-
and how dare you infringe on my right to have a life without being offended. And it's like, well, it's impossible.
Yeah.
But there is no trigger warning for the brutality of life.
No.
Just being alive, even if you're privileged, even if you've got it all, just being alive in a human skull is gonna fuck you up.
Absolutely. I read an article about Rupert Murdoch. He hurt his back on his yacht.
Bummer.
He slipped and pulled a disc. So he had like an L4 disc pulled or something, and I still felt sorry for him because like he's fragile. He's a fragile egg of a man.
No, totally.
He's 89 years old.
Yeah.
He's walking really slowly.
Yeah.
He's in a lot of pain.
He'd be going demented a little bit, but he still runs a media empire.
Well, there was that photo of Jerry Hall and him emerging from the ocean and her kind of like helping him out. And like it was the same. And at the time, everyone was like, fucking look at that old cunt. But I mean, he is the embodiment of evil. He is like one of the worst humans. Like he's contributed nothing to this world other than bile and shit and poison. But you're right. Like if you can't recognize that basic fucking humanity, well, it's like, well, then you've kind of lost your humanity somewhere in the mix as well.
Yeah, if you can't feel compassion for an aging lizard. Like, where is your humanity?
Well, I mean, I think that's the irony in a lot of the kind of like, when you're talking about like regressive, radical left. I don't even know if you should call it left anymore because it's so fucking crazy where some of this rhetoric is going.
Communism.
Yeah, but it's that weird thing of like, love and acceptance. But if you disagree with me, you need to die. You need to fuck off and die. Although those people just need to hurry up and die. Like, whoa. Like, and how do you propose that we do that? Do we round them all up? Do we put them in camps? Like,
there's this dude who went and basically destroyed that young woman's memorial in Melbourne.
Oh, yes.
And it was a horrible thing to do. This guy is clearly fucked in the head. The police found him. But then there's all these people like on social media like, I followed him into the courtroom and I screamed into his ear, I hope you die. Yeah! And it's like, you're the same people who are criticizing him for drawing a dick on a grave. Like, this does not make you a better person. This makes you as fucked in the head. He's not of sound mind.
Yeah.
And even if he is of sound mind, he's a sad dude. You telling someone to die makes you as bad as him, as far as I'm concerned.
Absolutely.
I just don't understand I don't understand where the confidence and the entitlement comes from, even to do things like that. They owe me an apology, or they deserve. Who the fuck are you to say what they deserve? The court's going to decide, and maybe the court is wrong and they often screw up. But that's the legal system we've tried for now, and there's heaps of flaws to it because young people die in custody. But you are no better than anyone else. Like, I don't understand where it comes from. I find it so confusing.
No, I think it comes from a place of righteousness and that kind of stuff. Like, I get it on one level. On another level, it's like you're treating this person as though they're a sane, normal person. The guy's clearly fucking insane.
Yeah, they're mentally ill.
It was like that. The guy that did the murder. You know, a lot of the rhetoric in the editorials were talking about him like he was just a guy walking through a park who just, on a whim, decided to kill someone. You know, and it's like, men need to get together and tell each other not to stop killing each other. It's like, well, I don't know any fucking murderers.
Yeah.
I don't know anyone that goes around killing people. So he's clearly fucking insane. So why that needs to be taken into account.
I'm in a book club, you know.
I cry at the movies. I'm just a man. Yeah, it's strange. Well, we were talking about this the other day, Rath, about like how humanity is sort of lost in a lot of opinions. Like people have just lost their humanity and the ability to see it in others, I think. Like we're all I mean, it sounds like it's easy to say from anyone's, I feel like if you say stuff like that, people are like, it's easy for you to say because you're privileged and you're blah, 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 blah. And it's like, you have no idea what someone's been through. And not everyone appreciates or is interested in the idea of sharing everything they've been through.
And privilege isn't always race and gender.
Yeah.
No.
Like sometimes it's health privilege.
Yeah.
Like if you've got vivacious health.
And
do you know what I mean? Like if you're just this boisterous person who never has health issues, that's way better than being white, I reckon. Do you know what I mean? Like you're a big vivacious black dude.
No, I understand.
Or the privilege of having a mind that fucking doesn't get distracted easily and actually get shit done and doesn't while away your life, fucking with video games and other nonsense.
Absolutely, yeah.
What a weird time to be alive. I'm excited to see how it all pans out. I think this stuff usually swings back and forth quite dramatically. So
I think
it'd be interesting to see which way it goes from everyone saying you can't say this and you can't say that, and I'm offended and crippled and crying because you used a word I don't like, to seeing what happens on the other end.
I think people are starting to realise it's like being offended. It's basic schoolyard politics. You empower the bully when you cry at the bully's words. And this isn't to delegitimize anyone's hurt feelings, because there are cases where it's like, dude, shut the fuck up, you know. But, this idea of, I'm triggered because, I'm triggered by the colour red because my teacher used a red pen to mark my schoolwork in year 3 and they put too many crosses on it and now I'm triggered. It's like, fucking grow up. But yeah, this idea that I think so much of the alt-right and the trolls are just empowered by the left's kind of outrage and hysteria and all this kind of stuff. Look,
it's
everyone
the nihilists
needs to...
versus the whingers.
Yeah.
And the nihilists always win because they come to the table with nothing.
Very good.
You know what I mean? They're just like these trolls in a basement, and the whingers have stuff to lose.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah.
It's like when you come to a business deal and you got nothing to lose and you win. Like, I don't need a job at Bunnings, and then you get a job.
I don't care about Bunnings.
Like, you get district manager.
You're just what we're looking for, kid.
But it does feel like there's a swing back. I don't know about you guys, but I've noticed that audiences have chilled the fuck out over the last year or two.
Because they're sick of being told off.
Well, they're sick of it, and I think they're realizing this system is just consuming itself.
Yeah.
And at the end there is, the end of a purity trial is not a population of pure people. It's one bloated, the most pure person at the top, and everyone else has been consumed for thought crime. So, and I think people are exhausted by that policing of their own mind.
And also, but people people who, it's hard to talk about because we do stand up, but people who have real jobs and have a life and have a family and have ambition or things they're trying to deal with, don't have enough energy to feel sorry for everyone. Do you know what I mean? Like, they don't have enough energy to go to a comedy night and hear about why they should feel bad because there's one woman on the bill or something. Like, they don't fucking care. They don't even know there's one woman on the bill. They don't know who's there.
Yeah.
They know
the bill's not even on TV, is it?
But you know what I mean? Like, their memory of the night is, I went there and I drank with my friend.
Yeah.
maybe 2 out of the 10 people made me laugh and I remember them, or maybe someone really pissed me off. But if you said to them, hey, how many dudes on there were in their 20s? How many were in their 40s? How many women were on there? How many people of colour were there? How many people of whatever? They have no fucking idea because they don't give a shit because they're like out after work drinks and then they're going home. You know what I mean? It's like everyone has so much importance in what they're doing, and I think it's so much easier when you realise no one gives a fuck about your problems. Like, just like, I sound like my mother, but just like get a job and fucking contribute to society and shut up. You know what I mean? Just like pull your fucking finger out and shut up. Do you know what I mean?
Well, and also stop being you stop being offended on behalf of other people. I think that's the part that bothers me the most. Like, if you're, of a whatever, you're of a particular racial minority, and someone gets on stage and does a really offensive joke about that racial minority, and you're offended, you're well within your rights. But I've seen so many gigs where someone's done a joke about race or something, and then a person of that specific race in the audience has laughed. And then all the white people have sat there going, oh, that's not funny, that's racist. Well, you can't be more offended than the person that the joke was about.
Right,
because it's condescending. You're being a patronising fucking cunt. You're being an intellectual imperialist, and you're basically saying this person doesn't know what's really going on, and it's up to you to be offended on their behalf.
Well, they're insecure about the racism that lies deep in their soul.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think
you just have a card that you just hand them out to those people.
Yeah.
I think you're just really insecure about the racism.
I know, but then you feel weird because then there's that other type of person who's like, mate, I did that joke last night. There was a Chinese guy in the crowd, loved it.
Oh yeah, there's that
did he?
scary. Yeah. Or was he afraid because you're screaming?
Yeah.
Like, there's always this
Fine
anecdote
line.
they have about the one time that a Chinese guy laughed.
Yeah. One time a Chinaman said I was funny.
Oh God.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
It's not to say that it isn't a fine line. It is, but you know, and it's always more complicated than everyone wants to let on. But I don't know.
We haven't solved it today, but I'll keep trying.
No one will. But I am noticing that crowds are a lot less prone to freaking out than they were a year or two ago.
Yeah, maybe.
Oh man, I was doing so many gigs a year or two ago where people in the audience would start screaming.
Maybe it was.
You're a racist. You're a racist.
Really?
You don't do any racist material.
I know.
I don't even know what they'd be referencing.
Dude, it was after that that there was a shooting in the States. I think it was the gay club. It was the gay club. Yeah. And I made some passing statement about how this will be really confusing for right-wing racists. Right-wing racist homophobes, because they're not going to know who to feel sorry for, the victim or the shooter.
Yeah, that was a good joke.
And I don't even know if it's a joke. It's a true statement. Like that is like a Sophie's choice for a racist homophobe. Of like, I don't know who to hate more. And yeah, these two people in the audience just flipped the fuck out. You're a fucking racist. You're a fucking racist.
Wow. They're getting,
it was not a racist statement.
They're getting
it's
the
an
content
anti-racist statement.
confused with the angle.
Yeah, exactly.
So the content of the word, they're getting that confused with where you're coming from,
Cassie
which is
Workman,
idiotic.
Cassie Workman put it really well one time. She said, most audiences swing Tarzan-like from keyword to keyword without hearing any context in between.
Yeah.
Wow, what a great, that's such a pithy.
You're a racist. I was just doing a bit about a running race.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, because they're not listening. Because their attention span's probably been ruined.
But also, they don't care. See what I mean? It's like they don't really, like they're listening, but they're not really.
No, it's boutique
And half the
offense.
time, it can even be how you look. Like you remind them of an ex, or you remind them of the person who their husband cheated on them with. You know what I mean? It can be like it can be as simple as, oh man, that guy looks like,
Of course.
or whatever, and that's it. That's all it takes for
Dude,
them
so
to
funny
dislike
you say
someone.
Oh, yeah.
Since I started going on stage with a baseball cap and glasses, audiences treat me completely differently than if I go up just bald.
They see that you're a
Right.
cuddly little man.
I think that's what it is.
Yeah, you look
I think it's
quite like
the
you're like a
cute
koala.
little cute little fucking internet blogger. But when I get up with a shaved head, especially if I start ranting and raving, you can feel
They're
the
like,
audience freak out. They're
He's
just
got
like,
a gun.
Yeah. This guy's like a little unhinged. So it is. It is. Whereas, like in the disarming kind of like, costume, everyone's like, it's just a little man having a little spat. It's fine.
Yeah, it's just a bit of impotent rage.
Infinite rage. That's
It's not threatening. But then you take the cap off your ball, it's like, fuck.
Fuck. But I noticed that a little while ago.
I have that as like a lady on stage.
What?
If I wear, because I find it hilarious when people say I seem aggressive because I feel like I'm a midget. But if I wear.
Aggressive has nothing to do with size.
Okay, well, whatever. But if I wear like.
Whatever! They think small's aggressive?
No, I don't know.
Small
Like, I've
can
been
be more
told that
aggressive than
I'm.
big.
Really?
We're chihuahuas.
Yeah.
But I've been told that I'm like. I can appear, not aggressive, just confident, I guess, even when I'm really, really not.
You've got a resting don't fuck with me face.
All right. Anyway, so I'll have like I wear like a
Aloof and
t-shirt.
indifferent.
I wear like a t-shirt and loose clothing basically that like really removes any femininity from me, because I feel like if I go up with heels and a cute dress and stuff that I like, people straight away are like, ugh. Like they don't know what to do with it. They're almost more okay with it if I dress masculine because they're like, oh yeah, she's kind of like a bloke, but not.
Yeah,
Whereas
right.
if I go up and feel really feminine and dress how I want to dress, I feel like it's not received as comfortably.
Have you ever done that? Have you
Right.
ever got up in like a cocktail
Not in
dress or something?
ages. I used to wear girly shit all the time, remember? And then I just stopped and started wearing t-shirts because it was easier.
Yeah, well, I think, especially in stand-up.
Like baggy stuff.
I mean, in all human interaction, but, I would say with stand-up, there's definitely a judgment call made about you before you've even
yeah.
taken the microphone
Yeah,
out of the
yeah.
stand.
Dress is
Absolutely.
important, I think.
Do you focus on what you wear on stage?
Well, I think if, like, just when you see a comedian with a V-neck and, like ripped pectorials, I think it's, like, it's harder to be shambolic.
Yes.
Like, you can't be like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
How do you, like, that's why, like, I want to dress like shit.
You don't look like shit on
Do you
stage.
know what I mean? Like, dress sort of, like, kind of fucking
Quirky.
bad and loose.
No, but it's
Loose.
very much
Yeah.
the way you like. You got that joke that you look like an extra from Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
But that completely suits
Yeah.
everything about you.
Yeah.
I guess-
It doesn't.
I love Jurassic Park, yeah.
One of the greats.
Well, I guess you have like, sometimes 10 minutes to get people to see what you're putting out there. And if you can incorporate it into what you're wearing. I mean, fuck, if I went up with a ball gown, I would love to do that. Maybe I should just go up
I would like to see it.
in like heels one day and just see how it goes.
No, I was about to say I would love to see that just as an experiment. If we're on the same bill, I'll go up without my hat and glasses on, and we'll see if people treat me differently.
We'll see if anyone stays. Be really good. Should we go to the hat, Benny?
Yeah, let's go to the hat.
Rathy.
Rathy.
Let's just pick something out.
There's a few words in the hat. They're quite open-ended. Pull a word out and see where your fucking weird autistic mind takes you.
Right.
Drum roll.
Fate.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Fate.
So I just talk about fate.
No,
Well, you can,
No,
whatever
we
you
all talk.
want.
We'll
It's
all
just,
talk about
oh, right, we all talk about it. It's not this bit's not a monologue
Go.
section.
Dan Rath's thoughts on fate start
Now, yeah, I remember reading about fatalism. Have you heard of that? That
like-
deterministic idea that you don't have any free will or whatever.
Yeah, I believe in
That
that.
depressed me for ages.
And what do you think?
That's funny because we talked about this on the train.
Yeah,
the other
yeah.
day. Yeah.
And what do you think
Yeah.
of it? It depressed you?
Well, it depressed me just because it implies free will and all that kind of stuff. Like a lack of free will,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah, a lack of control.
Yeah. And I thought the only way that you could have any free will is if you defied your impulsive instincts.
Right.
Like any time you don't smoke a cigarette because you want to, that's sort of like free will because you wanted to so much.
No, but maybe that's like split-second decisions that your brain's making before you consciously realized you had the thought, which is what they're discovering more and more now with brain science.
Brain
Yeah.
science.
With brain science,
They can predict the action of the arm or whatever before.
They can predict the thought you've had before you consciously realize you. Because I don't believe in free will at all. Like I don't think
For you at all.
for anyone. I don't
Right.
think anyone has any free will at all.
None.
No, I think we're all on deterministic loops, and I think we're all.
Wow.
I think between, and it's not just
Really?
Yeah.
You think there's no free will?
No. I think I think our hardwiring's put in the first couple of years. I mean, this goes back to what we were talking about earlier, these Pavlovian responses to jangling keys.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know what
that's
I mean?
my fate from now on.
Yeah, it's just, exactly.
Rathy
I
hides
go
under
into a
beds.
locksmith.
Yeah. I mean,
panic
it
attack.
happened last night. I was in bed
Yeah.
and someone walked past my bedroom because my bedroom window looks out onto the street. And someone walked past and I got that shutter. And the next thing I had was like, dude, that was 20 fucking years ago.
Yeah.
20 years ago since that stopped being an issue. Why is it still an issue?
So when do you think free will disappears once, like after 3 or something.
I don't think we've ever got it because when you're 3, you're barely a fucking human.
That's probably when you got the least free will, do you reckon? When
because you can't do anything.
No, I mean like when it's, I guess, consciously. Like when you're 3, you're just getting built up by other people and getting pieced together.
Yeah.
So I guess from the point where you can make choice.
Yeah, but you know, like the choice. I think the choice is an illusion. I think between your genetics, your cultural influences, the fact that every single person that you interact with somehow rubs off on you, and you know, like if I hang out with long enough for someone, I start having their laugh. You know, we start laughing the same. Like
That's creepy.
You start adopting other people's mannerisms.
Yeah, other people's mannerisms, other people's turns of phrase, other people's, you know, idiosyncratic gestures.
Yeah.
I think, and so much of that is built up, you know, like this is a weird fucking thing. When I never knew my dad. He left when I was 3, so I had no interaction with him at all. And then when I was about 30, we sent a couple of emails back and forth, and you know, it was just kind of like basic getting to know you stuff. We have the same tastes in everything.
Yeah.
Down to the same favorite musician, the same favorite book, the same favorite TV series, everything. And for my whole life up until that point, I'd always very much defined myself by my tastes. Like, oh, I'm the black sheep of the family. It's into all the weird indie movies.
It's funny when you're proud of your tastes.
Yeah.
Because like, you know, there's no effort.
Yeah.
It's like I really like Stuart Lee and classical music, but I'm unemployed. But my taste's better than you with your job, with your work
make
ethic.
anything. I just consume.
It's so funny when you're a consumer.
Yeah. We even have the same irrational fear of wet gears. Like
What?
Wet machinery really freaks me out.
That's the most idiosyncratic fear I've
It
heard.
really freaks me out. Like
Wet machinery.
giant cogs and gears dripping with water really
That is so strange. I mean, I always think stuff's going to blow up, so I'm not much better.
It upsets
but
me
that's
on
so
like
strange.
a really
Really?
cellular level. Like I can't watch, like the idea of watching Transformers is terrifying, and not because they're shit movies, but just all like the no,
And you
no
just-
way.
You discovered you and your father share this fear.
Yeah, how fucking weird is that?
That
And
is
so,
weird.
And
Yeah,
that's when you
that's really
suddenly
weird.
So
realize.
strange,
I had this
yeah.
like complete revelation in that moment of like all these things that I thought were so unique to me,
Yeah.
and that were things that I chose to do. It's like no,
You
I
didn't
think they were
choose
all
them.
just It can't all just be
Right.
a coincidence that we're into the same things. It must have been
mean-
some kind of like pre-programming that was.
But
in there.
there's choice within
yeah.
it, though. Do you know what I mean? Like, I mean, I have a lot of siblings, and I feel like, you know, there's certain things that we're all going to have that are really similar because we're brought up by the same people and all that kind of
But I
stuff.
wasn't brought up by it.
No. But I'm saying there's other things that it's like, I don't know. I just feel like there's some choice within everything lying ahead on a certain line. You still have the ability to make some. I don't know. I find it strange to think that it's all. I don't know.
No, I know, but most people find it like a disturbing thought to just think that.
Not
we're
even
on
disturbing.
loops.
I just don't know if I don't know. It doesn't mesh in my brain yet.
There's this great idea that it's not a great show, but Westworld. There's a storyline where they're trying to synthesize human consciousness, like trying to copy your consciousness and put it into a robot so you're eternal. And every time they upload a consciousness into a robot, it lasts like 3 days before it just glitches out. And the revelations that they come to is that they were putting too much complication into the human consciousness, and actually the human consciousness is like 8 pages of binary, and that's it. That's all you actually
Wow.
need, and it's as deterministic as any kind of robot. But it's just this illusion of the ego and the superego and all these ideas that we are the creators of our own lives. But I don't think we are.
So
I
it's
think
8
we're-
pages of ones and zeros.
Yeah, pretty much. That's the revelation they come to, and then in the end, the consciousnesses don't glitch out at all.
So okay. So well, Rath, what did you think? You said you found it really depressing.
Yeah, I just didn't like the idea of it that it's all predestined.
Do you think it is all predestined?
Probably, but I pretend that it's not. Like
To
I
what
lie to
extent
myself.
do you think that it's all predestined?
Well, I just was
Like everything?
I did a thesis on why free will exists.
What, for your own personal pleasure?
No, it was like a master's.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, well, I dropped out of it, but I did like submit a thesis on why free will is real.
And how do you feel about it now?
Yeah, what's the thesis?
That it is real.
But
So you think
Well, it
is
was
real?
based on what I just said with like if you've got like an instinct, like a first order desire
to then
to have a cigarette or whatever, and then you override that with a second order desire
Yeah.
that goes, oh no, I shouldn't, and then there's some way to make that free will.
Yeah, you can determine it by changing it as you.
Yeah, by going,
Go.
I'm going to do that, but no, I'm not. I'm going to do this thing that's harder.
Yeah.
Like free will through effort.
Right.
Right.
Like the effort is the free will. It's like when someone does nothing for ages, it's almost like they don't have free will.
Oh yeah, I
know
think
what I mean?
the
Like a
less
real
you do,
lazy
the less
person?
free will you have. If I'm at
Yeah.
home and I'm like not moving on the couch, I feel like I have no free will.
Yeah, you got free will to choose if you'll watch Netflix or Stan.
That is true, Ben.
The funny thing is you can have a panic attack on either one of those platforms.
Absolutely. Choice paralysis.
Even before you've had choice paralysis between the two platforms, you know what I mean?
Have you ever done the thing where
That
you
is
spent the
true.
length of an entire feature-length movie choosing what you're going to watch and then
Yeah.
just given up?
Yeah, when you're stoned.
Worst.
All the
That's
time. And then
I think
why didn't I
marijuana
just...
leads to more choice paralysis
I don't smoke. I don't know.
for me.
No, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I just get really frustrated and always think I should just fucking read a book. Like I could have finished a book by now, and I'm still sitting here trying to figure out what to watch.
Well,
I hate it.
and
Yeah.
that's interesting in the subject of free will. I think a lot of our technology removes a lot of agency and free will
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
it puts us in the, because I don't know if this is 100% true, but I'm sure I heard it on a radio lab one time where like the human brain starts glitching out if it's given more than 7 options.
Wow, yeah.
So if you get,
That would make sense.
Yeah, so you go to fucking Messina or something and there's 40 flavors.
Yeah.
The first 3 that you zone in on, you should just leave it there because as soon as
Yeah.
you pull out and start looking at everything else, your brain just starts.
Yeah,
the sketching
the
out.
brain can't meaningfully distinguish between more than a few things.
Yeah.
Like it can't go, oh, there's 47 options. I'm going to consider each one rationally.
No, it's not possible. And I think that
Oh, there's another. I think it was a Radio Lab thing as well about how much happier people are with less options.
yeah, of course.
Yeah.
That's why I envy people who are in like, camps, like where they
North
just
Korea and stuff.
Yeah, well they just go, you're doing
Real
this.
simple.
Do you think you'd go well in prison?
Yeah,
There's
I'd
part
love
of me that thinks I would go
the routine
really well
would be
in prison.
amazing
Yeah,
for me.
yeah.
and also the
Luke
camaraderie.
Heggie-
We get a lot of
The
reading
camaraderie.
Camaraderie. Just the team building
Just
exercises.
to share a bunk bed with a guy who killed a paramedic with a hammer. And just see what his life's like.
Luke Heggie has a great bit about how happy he'd be in prison and how he'd love solitary. He's just like, mate, I'd be able to read, be great. Just like, be alone with my thoughts.
Get a shitload of reading done. It'd be fucking awesome. Do a
If
lot
you're
of
allowed
push-ups,
to have books.
books and push-ups.
Yeah.
Well,
Absolutely.
I think humans do prefer having less options and we are more fulfilled in some weird way. I know how dangerous this conversation is, but I do think we are happier and feel better when we have less options and more purpose.
How good is it if you've got 2 options of an evening
Yeah.
and one of them gets cancelled?
Yeah.
And now you don't have to consider
And
that you get relieved.
your brain will then not pick other options. Your brain won't go, oh, but maybe I could. Your brain will go, cool, that means I'm doing this.
Yeah.
Like there's like such a comfort for us in that. Because I mean, now where we are right now as humans are the most decisions we've ever had to make
it's fucked.
ever in when you like, I understand why people join those weird religions where they're like, we live off the land
Right.
and we pray and we marry the person that gets sent to us on a dream with a pixie. Like, I understand why
Yeah.
they simplify shit that much.
Well, yeah.
Because their day-to-day existence is so clear. It's like, get up, milk a cow,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's it.
read a book, feel bad and pray, and then make a baby. But it's like, that's
Yeah.
all they have to focus on.
And they're happier. Because
Way
they don't
happier.
have as much cortisol running through their system.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, like, there's choice paralysis on every level now.
Yeah.
Every level.
Relationships, jobs,
Yeah.
the gig economy.
Yeah. And infinite choice has never been a thing that any life form has ever had to factor in.
No.
And so we're not designed to do it.
No.
And I think also we're creatures who are perpetually dissatisfied.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it removes, that's what I was going to say, it removes contentment.
Yes.
We talked to Schmeat about this because the power of feeling content is gone now because
You
there's...
can't be content.
You
Yeah,
can't
that's
be.
right.
And
That's
there's
so
so many
true.
options that if you're sitting and you're going, this is nice, and then all that happens is someone messages you and goes, oh, I'm going to be at the
You're
pub.
scum.
Yeah, or you're scum.
You're like, fuck.
But just messages you anything. And then all of a sudden all
You're
these
out.
other thoughts are happening and you're
Yeah.
like, oh, well, I was content doing this and now I've got to think about this. And,
Yeah.
you know, there's no
Well, and
Yeah,
not,
that's
chill
so
out,
true.
brain time.
and not just that, but it's like, you know, because we are wired to be dissatisfied, which is, you know, up until maybe recently has been probably a great trait. It's what got us, you know,
Out of the
building
cave.
civilizations out of caves, you know, to never be resting on our laurels. But now it's this thing where you can be, you know, watching a movie or you go on a date or whatever, and it can be good. And maybe 10 years ago it would have been great. But there's a part of your brain going, oh, is there something better? Is there something
Right,
better?
yeah.
I was once out at
Yeah,
a bar.
what are we even looking for?
I was at a bar and I watched these two, and I saw these two people who were quite clearly on a date. And then
Yeah.
one of them went up to take a piss, and the other person pulled their phone out and was going through Tinder. It's like you got the date.
Yeah.
At least wait till this one's over before you start searching for a
Right.
better one.
Yeah.
But it's the same. You know,
It's like being at a restaurant and looking at McDonald's on Uber Eats. Like, I wonder what I could be having.
But I think that's happening with the porn as well. Just infinite, you know, black holes of porn when you know everyone's like, oh, the next video will be good. The next one, it's
People
like,
are so far removed from sexuality and sensuality,
fucked
and
up.
it's so funny because we're talking about it more than ever. But I feel like healthy conversations are so limited; it's insane.
Yep.
People are like, why can't people talk about, you know, these rights or this or this? It's like people can't even talk to their kids about sex.
Yeah.
Like, this is not easy. You know, it's like people are learning what sex is by seeing a woman get fucking fisted by 50 men in a prison cell.
that's how
Like,
it
it's
happens,
fucked
right?
up. That's how people make love,
that's
Benny.
how people make babies, right? With a fucking electric eel up their pussy.
It's so horrible. Oh, that's so fucked up. Someone showed me that and I got so upset. That's so disgusting. It's so disgusting.
Just someone is
Yes.
asking if that's real. No, I just reached for an
No,
analogy.
there's a
Is that actually
Japanese
real?
one. I
It was
are you
rather
ready
lyrical.
For this?
Electric.
Electric eel?
No.
I made it up. I don't know. I was going to
This
say
is-
69 with a chimpanzee, but
No,
whatever.
this is how messed up we are. I followed on Twitter or something because I was going to go. I went to Japan and it was something like Japan World, like something so innocent sounding. And I followed it and it was like quirky quotes and quirky stats about Japanese culture. But I shit you not, the ones that I read was stuff like Japan has vending machines that have hot and cold drinks. I was like, novelty. And then like one day I'm like flicking through in bed and there is an up close shot of a woman's butt and I guess an eel, like a long skinny fish going in her butt.
Nah.
In her butt.
Nah.
And this is on Twitter.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no one told me that was going to happen. Like, I didn't need to see that, you know?
It's unfettered.
Which end of the eel?
The head, because they had foot, they go
The
in.
head?
No, the whole thing went in there. I don't know if it's an eel, it's a long skinny fish. The whole thing goes into the butt, and then they have a camera go into the butt so that you can see it in the butt trying to fish it out.
Is that for business or pleasure?
It was so upsetting. But it was upsetting. And I told my partner, I was like, Chris, this has really bummed me out. And I tried. But then I don't even know why. I was like, look at this. And he's like, I don't want to see this.
Yeah.
And I was like, I didn't want to see it. I don't even know why I have. But it's that whole thing of like, there's so much available to you at all time. You can't even really, even when you are trying to control like, I don't know. I did not want to see that. Like, I would have
I
been
know. But
cool
we've
going
all
through
got
life.
imagery in our brains now that we didn't want to fucking see.
Oh,
but
man.
It's there.
Oh, man.
Thanks, internet. But I don't think I can't imagine the three of us are even heavy users of the internet. But it's still like too much. Like I can't bear it.
Oh, well, I like what you said about if you go on social media, it has a worse effect on you than doing a bunch of cones.
Yeah, of course it does.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Of course it does. Absolutely.
The confusion that results, the disorientation.
Yeah.
I get dizzy.
Well, and the fluctuating moods, you know. One post will be fucking, you know, peace and love to all humanity, and the next is some fucking jihadist beheading video. And you're like, how am I supposed to feel?
They're not thematically grouped.
Like,
It's
you're
all
wrenching
together.
me from one state to another.
It's non sequiturs. It's like
yeah.
beheading. Baby Chino picture.
Kittens. Friends.
Yeah.
But this idea of, and just this like, everyone comparing lives, curated lives. It's just,
It is odd.
it's just.
But I
awful.
find myself more and more now being like, I don't want to know. I don't really care.
I would recommend to everyone, if you're going to have, and I still have a Facebook account because I do comedy and it's just easier. I would recommend going to every person on your friends list, clicking on their profile and just clicking unfollow. I don't have anyone's feed in my feed at all. It's a blank page.
Yeah,
And
it's
just
pretty
I
toxic.
don't want to fucking know what the fuck your bullshit links are or what your thoughts are on some nonsense that doesn't matter.
Humans are so strange where it's like, how did we even get to the stage where we thought that would be interesting to each other?
Well, it's self-importance. I mean, it does feel like it's starting to bottom out. It feels like the conversation about how empty it is becoming more mainstream.
There's a vague sense of malaise everywhere
Yes.
with everyone.
Well, yeah.
Well,
And
also,
people-
it's an older person's technology now. Facebook is not something younger people are interested in. Like that type of technology where it's like, I'm sharing that I went to the park. Like that, I don't think younger people care about that at all.
No, they don't. And we've said it before. Why would you want to be on a social network platform that your fucking parents are on?
Yeah.
Yuck.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like if you're 20 years old, posting your rave photos.
Having auntie write, oh, you look good in your pants.
Oh, your pupils are really dilated in that photo.
Yeah.
But it's
and you get FOMO for shit stuff. Like you'll be doing a better thing.
Yeah,
I was at a rooftop party doing MDMA, and I checked Instagram, and my friends were at a Rush Hour marathon.
the movie.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I wonder which one they're up to. Like the jealousy is no matter what.
Yeah.
you're not there.
They could be at home and you'd be like, oh, they look comfy.
Because they took a photo of it.
Yeah.
Just 'cause
It doesn't really matter what people are doing.
they're performing for the photo, I guess, so it's a lie.
Yeah.
Inside they're confused.
But it does feel like that's becoming more. I used to rail about this a couple of years ago, and people were like, whatever, it's not that bad. But it does seem to be. Maybe it's all this Cambridge Analytica stuff and the realization that we're being fucking data mined and harvested. But it does seem like there's more of a fucking recoil against it.
It'd be great if it went the other way, but who knows?
Do you think it will? I have like this fervent dream that one day we're all going to be sitting around going, remember Facebook? I can't believe it.
Yeah.
I can't believe we were caught up in that for so long.
I
Yeah.
can see how children that are born today, or like, young kids, whatever, I can see them rebelling against it in a huge way because they feel so frustrated that they're like, you see people where they're like, this is a photo. A girl I went to high school with that I don't remember joined me. And then a name I didn't know joined me. And I realized it was the daughter she'd just given birth to. She created a Facebook page for her
sick.
daughter.
That's so fucking
And I didn't,
sick.
yeah.
Against that fucking kid's consent.
But the thing is, that means there's all these photos of this child growing up. Like, think of every photo your family has of you growing up. And then imagine having zero control over them being all over the internet, which means just there forever now.
Oh, and
You can't even erase the digital footprint.
You can't get rid of any of it. And I can see how, like, maybe one day a generation would grow up where they're like, I hate that all of my stuff is out there. Who knows?
Yeah.
They might go the other way and be like, I want more. But
celebrity.
they might be like that, where they're like, I hate that there's all these photos of me and there's all these things of me and I didn't choose.
Well, it's not just that they're on the internet.
knows? I
They're
don't
in
know.
some fucking corporation's fucking database so that you can fucking, be marketed properly to. It's so strange to me that a generation that grew up without all this stuff, who really does remember a time before it, seem to be the most fervently behind it, where it's just like, why are you foisting this upon your kids without kind of considering or stepping back? Like, oh, my kid's 5, time to get them an iPhone. What? If you took them to a pornographic bookstore on their 6th birthday, you'd be arrested as a fucking weird pedophile. But you give them a fucking phone with unlimited data where they can just access... And it's not even like putting a net nanny into ban porn. Go on YouTube, man.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
Twitter. I was on Twitter and I
Totally.
saw a butt with an animal go into it.
Absolutely.
Which is not meant to happen. Like,
But it's there. It's all
Yeah.
over the place. There's no censure. Same on YouTube. You can see, a kid in this day and age doesn't even need to watch the scary movie. They can just go to fucking YouTube and watch a compilation of every murder Freddy Krueger did in a row. And it's just this unfettered fucking rat-a-tat-tat straight into their brain. It's like, man, I don't know. Like, I don't want to sound like some fucking weird conservative Christian, but fuck, man.
Well, that'll be the new radical act, is to join a Benedictine monastery and become a monk. That'll be radical.
Become Amish.
I
Like,
can
that's
see you
radical,
being a
dude.
monk.
Yeah.
I can see Rath totally being a monk.
Oh, yeah. I think it'd be cool, like, just, in a mountain or something. Like, that'd be considered really different.
Yeah.
to bring back to free will and fate and all that stuff. That's the thing. I think these systems are gamed towards robbing you of your free will.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because it's poker machine technology that's basically tapping into a fucking addictive.
Without the stigma.
Yeah, absolutely. And there should be a fucking stigma. I mean, the fact they've got poker machines.
There should be a
on
stigma to
iPhones
taking
now.
your phone out at a restaurant and then...
There should be a fucking stigma to taking a... Remember when you could go to Remember if you went to the beach 10 years ago and someone put a fucking camera out? I was like, what's that creep doing? Now everyone's just walking around the beach fucking photograph. I'm in my underwear. What are you doing?
I had a really funny thing happen with my little sister. We were staying in a nice hotel in Thailand and there was like a women's spa area where women are naked walking around because it's like a ladies area. And she had her phone and I was like, put your phone away. Like, that's really inappropriate. And she wasn't taking photos. She's like, I was just checking something. I'm like, yeah, but women are naked and they might be uncomfortable. And then we turned around and this chick was full on like click, click, like everywhere. And I'm like, there's tits everywhere around you that don't want you to be like photographing them. Like, you're in a women's spa. You're in a naked area and you're just taking your phone out. And she was happily taking photos. And I was like, that is so bizarre and uncomfortable and strange.
It's despicable.
It is. It's gross. It was gross.
I was like,
and it bummed me out.
I was doing something rather monkish, and like,
what were you doing?
I was in like this area, but like those weird backstage areas that are kind of like weird, like kitchen. Like there's chefs going past, but you have to be housed there.
Yeah.
Until they can
In what context?
like at a gig or whatever.
Yeah.
okay, right.
They're like, this is the backstage / the whole way
And
to
this
the
guy-
kitchen.
I thought you meant you moved into a kitchen after you got evicted from under a bed.
Yeah, I was living with a sous chef, and and this guy took a photo of me meditating.
Oh, really?
Like he got close up and did like a close up.
Shameless.
And
That's not
the
cool.
gap between what he's doing and what I'm doing is huge.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
That's not cool.
No, but I feel like I was at a gallery one time and there was like a little caption of a thing that I wanted to remember and I felt self-conscious as fuck
Taking
pulling
a
my phone out
photo.
and just like did it so quickly. And I'm looking around going, no one's judging me. They're all fucking filming every fucking second of their lives.
They're filming you.
Yeah,
do
no
that.
one cares.
It's just, but I just can't I can't.
But that's
relate
why
to
it's
it.
good you have the shame of it.
Oh, we were talking
Yeah.
about how, I think shame serves such a good purpose in
Yeah.
society.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I think it is.
I love ashamed people.
Oh, me too. I think it is so important. I really do. I think there are times where it's really traumatic and people shouldn't feel it. But for the most part, it's a very important emotion.
Shame
and
made
people
me
are
lose
trying to
40
remove
kilos.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and people are trying to remove it. And they're like, you should not be shamed.
Yeah, if you're acting shameful, feel ashamed.
Yeah, it's like if you did something fucked up,
Fucking
you
hell.
should totally feel ashamed.
No, I'm entitled to never have a negative emotion.
Yeah, it's like, who else doesn't feel shame? Psychopaths. Like, it's a really important emotion.
I read this statistic.
Yeah.
It was like some English survey where they were like, they'd asked, 1,000 people. So it's probably not that scientific, but still. They were like, if you could eliminate all negative emotion from your brain
Yeah.
in an instant, would you? And 70% of people are like, yes. It's like, but do you not realize it would just be this miasmic grey
Well, you'd
nothing?
be a simpleton, but you'd be
You
happy.
wouldn't- would you? I don't
Yeah,
even think
because
you'd
you'd
be
be
happy.
so simple.
I don't think you'd be happy. I think you'd just be nothing. Because how would you know happiness if you didn't know the other side of it?
Because you can't analyze anything. So you'd probably just be quite numb and
numb.
you'd be
But
simple.
I don't know if that's
You
happiness.
wouldn't be able to delve very deep into anything, I
You'd
imagine.
be like an NRL player or something.
I'll kick your ball.
Those guys don't feel bad emotions, I'm pretty sure. Like they're the ones having brunch and fucking smiling. You know what I mean? Those
Yeah, well, 'cause-
sports guys, like
Well, it's that whole thing. You tell them to be an animal and focus on the animal brain for 90% of their life, and that's how they make their money, then they're pretty comfortable with it.
they're completely frivolous all the time.
Yeah.
It's the people that feel the most shame that probably should feel the least.
Thanks, Ben. I'm going to take that personally.
It's like a Japanese haiku.
It's the people that
They should have that on the start of the Suicide Forest.
Oh, that's terrible.
But it does
poor
feel
people.
like that. It's like,
No.
it's like, God, man, you like, whatever, Trump or whoever, but it's just like, you seem incapable of feeling it.
Of shame,
you should
yeah.
be swallowed by it. You should be feeling nothing but.
Oh,
Yeah.
the fact that he can function with that without it.
Yeah.
I mean, with the he should be so ashamed,
All
but
the
he's
time.
still functioning at an optimal level.
Do you think it's optimal?
Well, he's eating McDonald's and stuff, and do you know what? Like he can eat KFC and still be confident. like he can still do a speech to a rally with a belly full of Kentucky Fried Chicken
and not care.
Talking about fate, like stuff like that. Like, do you guys ever do that thing where you see, like, you know, say whatever Trump or any historical event, where you like, I look at Trump, and then you kind of look at everything that came before it, and I know humans kind of naturally do this feeling of inevitability, where it's like, well, it was just always had to be like that. It was always going to be like that. But do you get that?
No, I get more. I have like a very strange, completely unfounded belief in balance and justice usually finding a way, which sounds so absurd because of the way we are and people like Trump existing.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I believe in it immediately, because as soon as you say stuff like that, people are like, but Trump's fucking president. Yeah. But it's like, I don't... But
in that context that you're talking about, you know, with the balance, like you could say that Trump is the balance of Obama.
Exactly.
It's like...
Yeah, and I think... and I like believe in truth. I think truth usually comes out in one way or another in terms of someone's character or person or something. But I don't know. I know how dumb that sounds, because at the same time it doesn't. There's people who live their lives as happy as sweet as pie and bad stuff happens to them. So I don't really know.
Well, I think that the nature of regret implies that it could have been another way.
The nature of regret.
Yeah, because you're like, I could have done that option B instead of option A.
Do you regret much
Yes.
about your life?
Oh yeah, I wake up every morning with a thicker and thicker layer of regret that's more richer and textured. Like, do you know, every morning it's a Rolodex of regret, just it's like, why did I do that? I shouldn't have. And it's like from years ago. I'm
Little
like,
things or big things? Like as in uni, or like a word, a sentence you said to someone?
It's just like, I could have just done everything different.
Yeah.
From the early stages when it could have actually had an effect.
Everything.
Really?
In the character forming stages.
Yeah, right. That would imply like a fundamental dissatisfaction about where you're at now.
Yes.
Right.
But I think everyone feels regret, no matter what.
I don't.
Really?
I feel none.
I feel
Really?
regret for little things, but I'm happy with where I am now.
Yeah. Obviously, you know, it's like,
I mean, I feel regret for little things where I'll go to a party and then I'll come home and be like, why did I say that? I mean, I regret something I say on this podcast every week.
Yeah.
So I have those kinds of regrets.
Yeah.
But I don't have massive ones in terms of where my life is now.
Yeah, neither do I. I don't have any, like...
I've definitely had phases of that, though, where I'm like, wow, I really threw everything away.
Yeah, there's definitely been... The regret years were definitely there.
Yeah, they were there.
But and this isn't to say that it couldn't shift back to it, but I feel like where I'm at now, for the most part, maybe 70% of the time, I like living in my head.
Right.
I don't mean like it's a fucking party in there, but it's at least...
it's a party.
yeah, right. The fucking after party, fucking come down Sunday. But it's generally content in there, and I'm generally okay.
Are you content in your party, Rath?
No, my party
That's why there's the regret.
It's hypervigilance mixed with regret.
Really?
Yeah, it's depressed hypervigilance.
Vigilance against what?
Well, the hypervigilance is just like, fuck. Maybe I'm going to die today. I don't know. Fuck.
Like anxiety
Yeah.
about everything?
Yeah, and then sometimes I crave the depression that comes after anxiety.
Yeah,
because it's
like
relaxing.
a warm bath.
Yep.
It's like, now I don't care if I die.
Yep. Yes. Dude, I had in my early 20s, I was so scared of death, and I eventually landed on something where I thought I was a genius. I was like, I know how to get over my fear of death. Just hate life so much that you wish for death. Oh, you're a genius.
Yeah. No, you worked it out.
Yeah,
and
but it's fucked up, man.
That's why you were talking about having personal success making you, the idea of personal success making you cry.
Yeah,
with fear.
It upsets me.
Because then you'll start loving life again.
Yeah.
Just as it starts getting good, and then you're going to die.
Fear kicks in.
And you can have something taken away from you if you have nothing.
My hypochondria kicks into gear if I think I have an opportunity or something.
Really?
No, I'm the same as that.
Because I'm like, I'm going to have an aneurysm before I get to it.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Whereas if I'm basking in failure, it's almost glorious.
Yeah.
Like it's relaxing.
Yeah, but also...
Yeah, because you can sit comfortably in it. I have that, but I don't feel like I'm going to die. I just feel like, it'll disappear. If I have an opportunity I'm really excited about, I won't even want to talk about it because I'll be like, if I talk about it, I'll get a call in 2 days going, yeah, you don't have it. Even when it's
Right.
illogical. Like,
but
even when
also-
it's like I've gotten an ad or something silly and weird and I'll tell Ben and then I'll be like, oh, but they'll change it. And he's like, why would they change it? Like, it's more work for them for it to not happen. Do you know what I mean? But in my head, I'm like, no, that's what'll happen.
that's
You're a
also- I
detective in your own downfall.
Yeah. I am looking hard.
You're like a PI. They're going to take it away, see?
But I also think that there's a sense of self-preservation in that. I think we've all known people
yeah.
along the way that have gone, oh, this fucking sick thing, I got this fucking awesome thing, and then it doesn't happen and they look like fools.
Right,
So
yeah,
I
yeah.
think there is that, you know, you
don't wanna look like a fool.
Hubris.
Well, you don't want to fucking talk about that. Look, and I think, you know, we've all been doing this long enough to know that the thing is never the thing until it's done and it's out.
Yes.
And so there's no point.
And even then.
Yeah, and even then. Yeah, exactly. So there's no point fucking banging on about it because you'll look like a fucking moron.
So,
When it inevitably falls apart.
so where you're at now, when you're saying you feel like you have a lot of regret, but and we're talking about fate, do you feel as if you have any control going forward in terms of feeling less regret, or do you feel like it's written?
I think I'm going to try and wake up earlier
Yeah.
to have more time
When do you wake
to
up?
regret.
When do you wake up?
Really late.
Do you?
Yeah.
See,
it's
that's not good. You
How
know.
late?
Yeah.
How
like
late?
11?
Too late.
That's too late.
And when do you go to bed?
8 a.m., man.
Yeah.
8
2,
a.m., no
3?
later.
No.
Yeah, 8 a.m.
8 a.m.
Because then your circadian rhythms are awesome.
Yeah, 8 a.m. Even if you're a bit,
8 a.m.'s prime.
I like 8 a.m.
I do too. Earlier, I start feeling a bit down.
Yeah.
Later, I feel a bit sick because it's too much sleep.
Right.
8 a.m.'s a great window.
And also being a bit,
Yeah.
I find being a bit groggy is actually a lovely headspace.
Oh, no.
It's-
Oh, right,
I
yeah.
can read better like in the morning when I'm a bit dusty.
You're a bit
know?
more creative because you're tired.
Well, yeah, you're not trying.
You're exhausted.
Yeah, exactly. So that kind of like that need or that like gotta do it now. It's not. It's the same as like I do my best like writing comedy when I'm falling asleep.
Yeah.
Just as I'm about to nod off, I like lunge for my.
It's 'cause the
phone
super ego's
and,
asleep.
Yeah, exactly. And
The
it's just
super
like,
ego's like, oh, the gotta mind. It's like, oh, we're done.
Gone.
And now we can do.
You have room for
yes,
creative.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have space to be creative in your thoughts without judgment.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
think also for the neurotic, and I'm not projecting here.
Yeah,
That's
project away.
fine.
It's fine.
We'll get an overhead projector in here. But no, but like for the neurotic, exhaustion is the closest they can get to ecstasy.
Yeah.
Why? Because the chattering stops.
Yeah,
it's that
exactly. It feels
temporary
great.
respite.
Yeah, I love
Like
it.
physical exhaustion is a form of ecstasy for a neurotic.
Oh, I love it. I had a work day the other day that went mental because all this stuff happened. But I was up at 6 and I got home at 9:30 and I felt so tired and I was so happy because I was like, I can't think.
I can't do anymore.
I can't think and I can't
Yeah.
get off the couch. But I was so happy. I was like, I can shower and maybe go to sleep. But that was it. And I was into
contentment.
it.
It's
Yeah.
sort of contentment.
It is
what
contentment, yeah.
Does your
The super ego's asleep.
does your meditating shut that guy down?
No, sometimes it can actually precipitate a panic attack.
Really?
So during the deepest form of relaxation available to humanity, I've had a panic attack. which doesn't feel good, you know? Like, it's so scary.
Can't even relax, right?
Yeah. I can't breathe right. Like, I did yoga and they were talking about breath and he's like, inhale, I'm exhaling.
Yeah.
Like, I can't sync up. I'll do the opposite.
Yeah.
But do you feel like you're kind of, because I mean, I'm speaking for myself, that there's kind of a deliciousness to it, to the anxiety and to the fear and the panic and all that? Because I think you were saying before, it's a sense of comfort.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I know this.
Oh, fear.
You know, the default back into, I mean, we were talking about anxiety the other night and I was kind of just saying like, I think you were asking like, is it always hypochondria? And it's like, well, no. If I think I'm whatever, got fucking
It's letter
bladder
of the
cancer.
day. It's letter of the day.
Exactly.
It's
If I think
Sesame
I've-
Street.
Exactly right. If I think I've got bladder cancer and I get a scan saying you don't have bladder cancer, it'll be
You'll
like,
find something else.
Oh well, maybe mum will die today. It's just like whatever.
Yeah.
It's just,
As soon as one gets done, it's
Yeah.
like we need another
Next.
one.
It's like deli
'Cause
numbers.
The same chemicals are there.
Yeah.
It's not like the chemicals go.
Yeah.
So it's a chemical thing. So
Yeah.
it just attaches to whatever.
I find it easier now to not fixate on it. But for a while, it was like really comfortable because my heart would race. Mm-hmm. So I would, all the time. And it was never about people getting sick or anything. It was always this fixation of not doing enough,
Oh, yeah.
which fed it because I had so much energy because my heart was racing. Like I was literally like, And that slowed down a little bit since talking to Schmeat and him talking about focusing on being content. And also because I just feel like I can't maintain it. I can't maintain being in that state. Like when we got here to do the podcast, I felt like that. And I was like, I can't focus.
No.
So if I don't slow down my brain, I'm not going to be able to have a conversation that means anything because I cannot focus right now. And that gets exhausting. And in some way, maybe it's what you were saying, Rath, where it's like when I come out of that, it's like, oh, I feel a bit more relaxed because I've burnt off all that excess energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Without going into like feeling depressed. But sometimes it feels nice for me too, where even after a gig, it's like that huge adrenaline dump and then I feel calm and I feel normal afterwards, even if it's not a great gig.
You feel content after gigging?
Yeah, I feel calmer, and that for me is more content because I feel like I'm up a lot. So yeah, sometimes for me I do, yeah.
I'm starting to feel very anticlimactic after gigs these days. You know, it's like it's over and you just stand there like, oh.
Contentment.
Done.
It's not the worst thing, Benny.
You
But I
want
don't know if
more.
it's contentment.
You want more?
Yeah, I don't know. Like
Chasing the high.
I like, talking about silencing that chattering.
Yeah.
That for me is the ultimate aim in being on stage. For me, it wasn't a successful gig if I was conscious for it.
Yeah, because you're not. Well, I remember like when I went through a breakup ages ago, it was like a tough one, and I was like at my happiest when I was gigging because when I was on stage, I wasn't thinking about anything except the gig.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So I gigged my balls off, and it was great.
Is that why you gig
It was
so
like
much?
free
Rath?
therapy.
Yeah, it's a holiday from neuroses in that time.
It is.
Isn't it hilarious? That
It's such a nice little like, whew.
Yeah, it's
It's so funny though that something that most people find to be the most terrifying thing in the world is like, this relaxes me. This is much standing in front of a room full of judgmental cunts is so much more relaxing than my own
sitting on the
brain.
couch. I'm more
it
relaxed here than
centers
watching
you.
Netflix.
Yeah,
Totally, because it centers you and it forces you to go, okay, I am here and this is happening and I need to be aware of what is happening now instead of the shit I'm fixating on that's happened 30 years ago or whatever. Like whatever is in your brain is not in the moment. So it's that lovely break of actually being in the moment. It's
But if you're in
essentially
your head, it
meditating.
is torture.
If you're in your
up
head
there-
on stage, oh, it's horrible.
like
If you bring your laptop to a gig and you're worried someone's looking through your bag.
Oh, that's the worst. No.
There's a specific.
Like there's 20% of your brain thinking about the laptop rifle.
Yeah. I can't think of any.
When you're doing stuff.
No, but
So you can't riff because you're thinking about your laptop.
I've had weird stuff like that. That's the worst. Where I'll be like, I'll be doing a gig, and I'll be like, where'd I leave my bag? Has that person taken my bag? Because that happened one time in the UK. Some bastard stole Eric's bag. I think
Really?
when he was on stage. Yeah, he jumped over a banister and stole it, and I was sitting there, and I was like, did that just happen? But it's that whole thing of like, if I'm on stage, I'll be like, where did I leave my bag? Is my bag under that chair? Or I left it with that person. That's okay. While I'm doing like a bit to people.
Yeah.
That is like hell.
It's always bag based.
It is bag based.
Yeah.
We should get lockers.
Yeah, they should have
That's
lockers.
the solution.
That's why we need a comedy union.
Yeah.
Lockers at gigs.
Lockers.
That is such a union thing to have a locker, like just slapping the
No locker, no gig.
lid shut, the metal, boom,
Yeah.
getting changed.
That's right.
Can I bring it back to fate?
Yep.
As we wind
Oh,
down?
yeah. So you wrote a thesis.
Yeah, I mean, it was like it was technically a thesis, but it was garbage.
But did you believe what you wrote?
Maybe I was really drunk
Okay.
through the whole period.
Well, I guess. Well, what's your opinion on it now? Basically, so you said that the whole thesis was that there is no fate and we do have control. How
Yeah.
do you feel about that now?
I like to just believe in it because it feels good. It's my religion.
But do you think, even if we are on a predetermined loop and we're all just kind of, being puppets to our own impulses and chemistry and all that,
Yeah.
that doesn't diminish your life. Like, it doesn't make...
No.
You know what I mean?
I still
who
feel
cares?
that there's
Right.
free will. I just think it's like what you were saying before, it's going against your mental grain. So like I've tried to pursue things and I've looked at things I really want to do and then I've sort of said in my head like, I'm not disciplined enough, I'm not going to do that. The only thing I've ever stuck with is comedy and, but it's like, well, if I actually wanted to, I could. Like I have that freedom. A lot of people don't. I could choose to try something and go against the mental. It's just that it takes more energy because it's not the organic path.
Yeah, that's what my thing was about, the effort. The
effort
effortful energy to override the instinctive
with the cigarette
inevitability of your life.
Yeah.
Like you've been working at Boost Juice for 30 years and then you suddenly decide to be like a jazz
singer,
cat or whatever.
Yeah, but that's exactly right. It's the effort. It's
to override that Boost Juice inevitability.
Yeah.
Like a scientist would go, you're going to be at Boost Juice forever now.
Yeah.
Because you're 52.
And that's
and
your
you're
life.
on the NutriBullet.
I have one.
There's no way to
good.
override the instinctive sort of. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I know what you mean. I just feel like that is another predetermined.
I know
thing.
you can then babushka doll that in.
Yeah.
part of
Yeah,
that.
because my first thought was when I was younger, I was like a real mess, like physically, like just crap everywhere. And now I'm like a neat freak. But that probably was predetermined as well.
Yeah.
But if you told earlier, younger me that I was going to be like this, I would have laughed in
This
your
is
face.
change and evolution, and you do stuff that doesn't serve you, and eventually something ticks over. And I mean, you see.
I
that.
choose to believe I have free will.
Yeah.
Okay, at the risk.
Otherwise, I just feel like
that's a funny.
it's almost more exhausting to think I don't.
No, see, I don't know. I do, not at the risk of getting too wanky, but why not?
Talking about fate.
Yeah. Do you guys
okay.
do you guys believe that time? We were talking about this as well.
Oh yeah,
Do you guys-
harrowing thoughts.
Yeah. Do you believe that time is linear, or time is like a block that is all just happening in an eternal now?
I don't.
And so it's every moment is happening simultaneously, and if you could see it from a fifth dimensional perspective, you could see it as we see a mountain range or a
right,
plane.
like it's another dimension of space.
Yeah, and there's a lot of like theoretical physics that says that is what time is. That time is a block of a solid block, and every moment is a slice of time, but it's all happening as one, and it's just consciousness that experiences it as
Linear.
a forward motion. And if that is true, then free will is completely out of the fucking ballpark. It can't exist.
I don't know. I don't know how to answer that in like.
I see what you mean. If everything's
10
already
minutes.
happened.
Yeah, then there is no choice because it's done.
Unless free will had the ability, unless human free will had the ability to splinter off an alternative universe, and that human consciousness has the ability to create an alternative reality, and in that way, free will could be real. But if it's all just a block, then we're just kind of in it.
Yeah, I think I like to believe that there's radical actions that you can take that splinter the direction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like when you hear those stories about people who are born on the wrong side of the tracks and they just through determination become like an ophthalmic surgeon
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yep.
They must feel a greater sense of agency
Yeah.
than someone who just did bucket bongs.
Yeah,
Like they must feel a greater sense of I choose to do this.
Yeah, or a rich trust fund kid or something.
Yeah. Those people, I think that sense of agency gives people.
But then that's the urgency of I don't have a choice. It's this or I die.
Yeah.
Like, you hear that a lot in like the hip hop world from guys that came up from like being
Nothing.
drug dealers and street people, where it's just like fucking there was no choice. I had to fucking make it.
But there
Yeah.
is a choice because other people don't choose to have nothing, but other people don't make the choices they do. But I know what you mean.
But then again,
there's more pressure for them.
But then is it a choice?
There's
or it's
no
just
comfort.
their particular genetics in their lineage. There was very determined people, and that's what's in their brain, and so they pulled themselves out of it.
They have more genes
Yeah.
for self-determination.
Yeah,
Which
absolutely.
makes them seem like they've got more agency, but really that's just a
Yeah.
genetic and environmental thing.
The thing that like, going back to what we were talking about before, that thing with my dad really freaked me out.
Because taste is so private.
Yeah,
Like,
man.
taste is what you really pride yourself on when you got nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, and especially when you're not into the mainstream stuff, particularly in your early 20s, you can be very much I'm cool because I like Paul Thomas Anderson movies.
Yeah, I used to think like, is loving Yes a job? Like the band? Like, can you just love XTC and like alt acid rock or whatever? Like, can that be a job where
In
you
2018,
just, yeah, actually
fucking
can
start
now.
a YouTube fucking channel and talk about it. And
yeah.
make a job out of it. Yeah, because there's
That's
fucking
so true.
professional Xbox FIFA players that live in London penthouses.
Oh,
It's crazy.
what a decrepit existence.
Oh man, this feels like too big to talk about. I don't know. Even though we've talked about it for an hour. Because it's hard to say that fate exists because then you look at people whose whole life is pain and then they die. And it's like, well, why are they born into that? And then we're born into these fucking grubby little existences where we sit in a
I think that's why people invented the concept of karma and that kind of stuff to explain
Yeah.
that shit, you know?
Yeah, next time you'll come back as a bunny instead of a
and
rat.
It's just like some people just fucking, it's just shit. Like, it's the way
Oh, all right then.
But that's the reality of being like 7 billion people or, you know, however many countless of people have, like, it's just an inevitability. There's going to be a large percentage of people that just have really shitty fucking time.
Well,
Yeah.
I heard someone say Rupert Murdoch's going to come back in the next life as a lizard. And I was like, well, he's already a lizard now. So, like, he's got to come back as something else.
He's got to come back.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like a category error.
I choose to believe in fate. I believe that you can splinter it, like you were saying before. Maybe not completely off the path.
That's
but,
a religious belief I have.
well, I've stolen it, mate. So I think there's
Well, that's how
something.
they start.
But see, you're double backing now because if fate is real, then free will is not.
No, because I
if
said
free-
you can splinter it. So fate in the sense that if you grow up in a slum in India, the chances of you taking over the world are quite slim. But you can splinter it in that maybe you can come out of the slum and somehow become educated and live a better life than you were destined to.
Right.
Does that make it better?
Yeah.
And
guess.
I mean, like, you know, if tomorrow we all developed severe drug habits and sold everything that we had and lived on the street, that would be going against what people would say is our fate. So,
Not mine.
no. Oh, Rath. But
That sounds like my future.
I think that there's fate and you can splinter it along the way.
Well, that's nice.
Right?
I think that we can.
Yep, religious.
Ben just
I don't
thinks we
even know why I
can't do
said that.
anything.
No, I think we can do stuff, but I think
You said we can't.
well, no, yeah, I don't know. I don't think
See?
we can. I don't think we can.
You don't think we can, but we
yeah.
can, Ben.
Yeah, I hope we can.
Next year
I
you
hope
could be
I'm
a
wrong.
personal trainer. I could be.
I could be, but that would be a predetermined thing that happened because I finally got sick of being a sedentary fat piece of shit, and so something in my brain would finally tick over and go, okay, enough of that.
It would be funny to walk into a fitness first and see you just going, go, go.
Dude, I could totally see myself being like total straight edge fit freak when I'm 40, channeling
Yeah.
all that addictive energy into that. I could totally see that.
Picking up hot mums.
Give me a. All I need is a catastrophic health scare to scare me straight. A little aneurysm.
Silver
Something
fox.
small but enough to really change your reality.
Scare the shit out of me.
That's right.
Just a benign aneurysm.
Fuck.
Rathy, would you
That's
like
my favourite word, benign.
benign? It's comfy.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Would you like to leave people with anything on fate?
Just keep going.
Don't give up.
Great.
But yeah, do give up if you've had enough.
That's fair enough. Yeah, I agree.
Thanks,
Don't
Rath.
push yourself to.
Stay comfy,
Do you have
Yeah.
a word? Do you have a word that you want to add into our hat?
please.
Oh, I can
For a
put a
future
word
episode?
so I can really mess someone up.
Yeah, just suggest a word.
yeah.
Oh wow. And this will go into the hat.
This will go
Oh,
into
you're
the
gonna
hat.
write it onto that. Okay.
No, it's going to go into the hat,
okay.
and then a future guest can get it and know that you put it in there.
Right. I would put. Yeah, this is like, it's not like a free word association, is it?
It's whatever you want.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it can be anything. Like
Someone
Sean
put
Choice
Mars in the other day.
put Mars, yeah.
Mars.
No.
Towns put guilt. But it can be anything.
Makes sense. Yeah. No. Hypervigilance. Just put.
Yeah.
I know we've already discussed it.
Vigilance.
We've already discussed it at
Dan
length.
Rath, hypervigilance.
No, that's the only reason I didn't say it straight away.
No,
is I
it's
didn't
good.
want you to double up with another podcast about hypervigilance.
No. Every podcast always comes back to the fucking similar themes.
And you don't want to worry that
It's
too many
on theme.
people have picked that word, but it's okay. Surprisingly, you're the first.
Do you have any
perfect.
social media stuff that you
How
want to
can
plug?
people find you?
They can find me in Marrickville. No, I will be doing a fringe show.
You have a fringe show.
Yeah. Should
Where
I
can
just
people
say
see
that?
you? Yeah.
28th of August.
28th of August for Sydney Fringe Comedy.
Yep. And it's like 4 or 5 nights. I think it's 5 nights.
And it's called
It's called Bubble Bath.
Dan Rath.
See Dan Rath, he's fucking brilliant.
Dan
Oh,
Rath
thank
Bubble
you.
Bath. Do you have any internet people find you on that?
Yeah, it'll be I'll put it on Twitter.
On Twitter? And what's
Yeah.
your Twitter handle?
I think it's I think it's
This is
like
so
the whole
difficult.
website or the
Just type DAN space
D-Rath.
RATH and you'll find Dan
Rathy.
Rath,
On
brilliant
Twitter.
comedian.
And
Thanks, man.
see Dan Rath's show at Sydney Fringe Comedy.
For sure.
Well, thanks very much.
Thanks, Rathy.
Oh,
Thanks,
thanks for
Raph.
having me.